Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the Lady Gang. I'm Becca Tobin here with Jack Vanek and Kelsey Knight. And boy, am I so excited.
What? Oh, for a guest.
Oh my gosh, you guys. I have been watching The Valley. I don't even play on my phone when I watch it because I can't miss a single facial expression. I can't miss a moment of what is magic. And I know this is vengeful and we can discuss it more with our guest, but like, I'm so happy it's probably doing better than Vanderpump Rules.
I know.
I know.
It brings me great joy.
Is it nasty?
Well, especially because I feel like when it got announced, it was kind of just like, are you kidding me? Like we're really trying to make fetch happen sort of a thing.
Yeah.
And I think it just surpassed everybody's expectations in the best way possible. And it's so much better than Vanderpump. Like, and it's all thanks to our guest, I have to say.
Yes. Chef's kiss. Chef's kiss. Okay, I'm not going to delay us anymore. It's time for
Good week.
Yes, it is.
Bad week. Oh, no.
Who would like to start?
I'll go.
Okay.
So my good week, bad week is an update on my house hunt. I'll start with the bad, which is there's nothing on the market. Absolutely nothing. Nothing has come up. Usually I was going to like an open house. I was going to a couple open houses every weekend, even if it was like something I didn't really want. It was like kind of, getting the ball rolling and seeing what was out there. Since we have gotten home from where were we? Florida.
How could you forget?
Jesus, Jack, it was so memorable for me.
It really was very memorable. No, there's been nothing. Like the past couple weekends, it's been crickets. So that's not great. And then the interest rates are rising. It's a whole cluster. So I have now resorted to writing a letter and I am flyering neighborhoods.
Yeah.
I'm passing out letters. I'm telling my story and I'm saying, I set up a Google Voice number and a fake email. And I'm like, please contact me if you're thinking about selling your home soon. Like,
Jack, what is your story that you're telling?
Well, it's not a real story. I mean, it's a real story. It's basically like I'm trying to move closer to my parents because we want to start a family. Basic story. I don't want them to know too much because I don't want any like creepazoids to find me.
Yeah.
But like just basically like my parents live in the neighborhood. We really want to move back here and start a family. Let us know if you're selling
any
your
movement.
House. So I have gotten one phone call from somebody that said that they are not interested in selling their house.
Wow. Can you imagine having the kind of life where you have so much free time that you would even take time to respond? Like I would just throw it in the trash, but okay.
I know. Well, it was so weird because it's like he was like, just letting you know. And I'm like, bro, I've passed out 100 flyers. I have no idea who you are or what house you're at, but like, good to know. And then I got a text message from somebody that wasn't selling their house, but they're like, I just wanted to make sure you saw this thing on Redfin. So it was really nice.
Oh,
but like, I would never do that. So that was really nice. But my good week is I got one phone call from somebody that is thinking about selling their house in my parents' neighborhood. So like we've got something on the horizon that might pull through, it might not, but like it's better than waiting for Redfin. So like I'm very excited about where we're at. Like it just feels good to be doing something productive and like seeing a response from it. I
love it.
Yeah,
you did it.
It's better than just like sitting around. So far I passed out 100 flyers and I have a 1% response rate. So
that's really good.
Which is what I was thinking. I'm like, it just takes one.
All it takes is one.
So fingers crossed. Send me your good vibes.
The vibes are good. Can I please go next?
Yeah.
Go.
Okay. My bad week is something that happened in Florida last week, but it happened after we recorded our Florida episode. And so I couldn't tell you guys, but now we're recording. And so I'm bringing it back up. So last week 2 weekends ago, we went to Florida. We are putting together a very exciting something happening in Florida. And we spent a weekend there. Denton. It was so fun. We're like, I love Florida now. Anyway,
Destin, guys, we're joking. Sorry. Inside joke. I don't want people screaming, it's Destin. Sorry.
Wait, somebody else said that there's another Denton.
Denton, Maryland.
Yeah.
So we went to the U, this wonderful concert, and Noah Kahan was playing, and it was really, really fun. And the really cool thing about this property and where we're thinking about maybe taking y'all is that you have these beachside condos that are like, literally you walk out to the beach. It's so beautiful.
Gorgeous.
But then everyone has these little golf carts. And so you just golf cart around. And the golf carts, like, there's no pathways. You just golf cart on the street where the cars are. And so that was very traumatizing. But what was the most traumatizing is that after the Noah Kahan concert, it's dark out. We're like, oh, we need to go back to our condo. And so Jack is driving the golf cart, and they're not letting us go exit the concert the way that we need to go back to the condo. We have to get in the line with all the traffic leaving. And we get to the end of the street, and the only thing available for our golf cart is the highway, like a 4-lane highway.
It wasn't a real highway, but it was a major road that people were driving 60 miles an hour
6
on.
lanes, like
Yes.
for sure.
Massive.
And so Jack is
Dark
like, what do I
out.
do? What do I do? And I'm like, just go. It'll be fine. And so she takes a left onto this highway. It was like, you know what? You're lucky,
No.
Lady Gang, that there even is a Lady Gang, because people were honking. They were trying to run us over.
No, number one of you guys was like, just stay in the left lane. Okay, the left lane is the fast lane. So I'm in the fast lane on this like 6-lane
I think
thing.
it was me. It was a mistake.
No,
25
it was,
miles an hour. Not even, how does fast as a golf cart
No,
go?
in
20,
35,
15?
35.
It did?
Yeah.
Well, in comparison to all of these cars that are speeding, probably drunk from the concert.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was so scared that somebody was just like not going to be paying attention and plow right into the back of us.
And we're like, do we have brake lights? Put your phone up.
I put this flashlight of my phone turned around facing behind us in case our brake lights weren't, or our lights weren't right or on.
And then we were stuck. Like there was nowhere
No
to turn
turn off.
left or right for probably a mile, which is a long time when you're driving a golf cart with a bunch of cars going 80 miles an hour. And that was so scary. And then I'm like, I'm going to get pulled over. Like we're going to die. Like there's so many different things that could have happened in that moment.
I
But, like-
actually thought this was one of the closest times I've had to death.
Yes.
Genuinely. Like I was like, this could be it. Like you're literally lucky, just lucky
Well,
if you make it.
And you would have been the first to go because you were
I was in the back.
It was so funny.
Which I should have climbed and clawed my way to the front seat because I'm a mother. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
if anyone
I
should
know
afford
what you
to.
do. Yeah. You have the most value in this world.
100%. So my good week so that's my bad week. Although it was a great story for the Lady Gang.
Once it was over, I was like, that's thrilling. And it gave me like a rush.
Yes.
But while it was happening, I was like, this is the end for us.
Well, my good week is that I have hired the perfect assistant. Prince Derek has continued to exceed my expectations. I have recently hired a new personal assistant, and he drives me everywhere. I really have not driven my car since he came into my world. We drive around. He's like, are you sure you're okay with this? Like, we drive around in his Ford Focus, and I'm like, I love it. I love it here. I love the Ford Focus. Like, put me in the passenger seat. But my good week is that I have him to drive me everywhere. And then my good week times 5 is that now when I scream because some LA driver cut us off and I thought we were going to get an accident, and I screamed like full, like, ah! And he was like, oh my God, he kind of started getting teary. Like he thought he really scared me. And I was like, this is great. Anyway, so driving is horrible. I'm so glad that Jack will drive my golf cart. Derek will drive my car, and I will never drive again.
Prince Derek.
I love that for you. Passenger princess.
Bachelor Princess.
Passenger princess. It's
With
you.
Prince Derek.
That's
You
you.
guys are quite the duo. I do love myself some Prince Derek.
I know. What a duo.
Okay, so my bad week was after a magical weekend in Destin, Florida. I'm on my flight from, we connected in Atlanta back to Austin, and suddenly I see a body fall down, collapse, boom, in the aisle right where I'm sitting.
No.
And this woman who's couldn't have been older than 40 was on her back. Her eyes were still open and her mouth was like agape. Okay.
Oh my God.
And I thought, there's no way she's alive. It was so scary. So then I take out my AirPods, I look around, everybody jumps up, and everyone's like, oh my gosh, oh my God, they get the flight attendant. The flight attendant's like, is there a nurse? Is there a doctor? Is there a nurse? They get on the thing. They're like, is there blah, blah, blah. 2 rows in front of me, this woman stands up. She's like, I'm an ER nurse. I'm an ER nurse. And she goes over and she's like, get her on her back. Let me blah, blah, blah. She's like, she might've had a vasovagal episode, which is like a fainting thing or whatever. And she, for like 30 seconds at least, from the time the nurse came over, there was nothing. And I was like, this is absolutely horrible. We're going to have an emergency landing. This is absolutely horrible. Not the
Wait, this is
emergency
while
landing.
you hadn't taken off yet.
We're in the air. So like, and like
So
we're going to have to
scary.
just land the plane and save this woman's life. Suddenly the woman, like all out of nowhere, like literally rising from the dead, was like, and opens her eyes. And the nurse is like, hi, how are you okay? Like, how are you feeling? You passed out. Like, do you have any medical conditions? Asks her all the questions, does the thing. The woman's like, no medical conditions. Like, I don't know. I just had to get up and I was feeling really weird. So I thought maybe I needed to go to the bathroom to like throw up or something. And that's all I remember. So I was like,
shit.
how scary. That was the bad week. The good week was I'm just looking at this ER nurse and I'm like, there are actual angels among us. You know, the fact that there are people out there who in times like that can like have their shit together and be like a calming, powerful force. And it's just so awesome. And the woman, it was just very cool to see, like just a citizen stand up from their seat. She deals with this every day. And this woman was like, thank you so much. Thank you so much. She was like so shaken up, obviously. But it's just cool. So I know we have a lot of nurses in the Lady Gang and a lot of doctors in the Lady Gang. You really are the superior humans. And I really, you know, in times like that where you're like, how important is your job? I'm like, you know what's important? Podcasting from Destin. But what is important is this woman and her training and her ability to like be there in a crisis like this. So thank you very much to everybody who works in healthcare.
Seriously, you people are so much better than us.
Superpowers. It's like superheroes. Okay. Oh, I'm so excited. I can't even stand it. Who's coming up?
Are you ready? From the Valley, television icon Kristen Doute will be with us when we return.
The Lady Gang.
Our guest today is a reality TV legend. She's got not one, but two brand new television shows on her plate. Obviously, none of us can stop watching her star and hold the fort down on Bravo's The Valley. And she's also starring in Amazon's new series, The GOAT, which premieres this week on May 9th. She's an entrepreneur and hosts her own weekly podcast, Balancing Act, with her boyfriend and Valley co-star, Lukey. And she was cool enough to appear on our highly floppable TV series, LadyGang TV, so she'll always have a special place in our heart. Please welcome to the Lady Gang, Kristen Doute.
Doute, I love you.
I want you to know, Kristen,
it.
I already told her Doute right before you came on.
It's so hard.
First of all, how are you? You have a lot going on.
Today I'm a little tired, but I can't complain. Can't complain about being busy when I wasn't busy for years, you know?
Yeah. Is that such a strange feeling? You're like, here I am. And you know, you had this big cancellation, you're cut out of Hollywood, and now you have two shows, you got this guy, like life is so wild. Like, do you feel happy? Do you feel like are you going into this differently now because you're wise as to what it feels like when it all gets taken away? Like it's gotta be different.
So my brain went into the Valley, like, you got this, Doute, like you got this, man, like you're a seasoned vet, and then like all out the window. I would
disagree with all out the window. I think that like your perception of it might be all out the window, but as a viewer, you came in there guns a-blazing, giving us exactly what we signed up for. If it weren't for you and Jax, the show would not be a show at all. So thank you from the people watching.
I love you. Thank you. It's just hard to navigate like new people at times. Like I'm not going to like shade my cast members too badly, but it's difficult when people, I think, aren't being their authentic selves, and they at times are trying to be like a version that they saw someone be on Vanderpump Rules or something like that. And so it's like, I don't even know who I'm talking to at times. Mm-hmm. So that's like kind of the difficult part, because I'm like, am I crazy, or like, is this the conversation we had? But I know that, as we saw like last night on the Valley, like my little Lukey had to like sit me down and go, dude, you switch one word, you switched a whole meaning. And I was like a dog with like my tail between my legs. Like my boyfriend's disappointed in me, even though he was right. But I'm stoked about the GOAT. I can't believe that's this week. That's crazy.
What is the GOAT? I'm such an idiot. What is it?
It's a competition series hosted by Daniel Tosh, and it's just about being a reality star. It's
Yeah, like the
who's
goat of reality stars.
backyard survivor.
Oh.
This is right up my alley. I want to go back to Luke really quick because that conversation you guys had last night, it was so sweet. Like he knows how to take care of you so well. And like, he just knows exactly what to say to like get the point across without being offensive and just like coddling you just the right amount while also being stern. Like you have found somebody that is like so perfect for you.
I think so too. Thank you. He's going to love that because he was so frustrated that day. Like we probably talked about that scene off, like maybe bi-weekly up until it aired last night. He was like, oh God, I hate when the scene's going to come up. I was so frustrated with you. He's like, you just shut down. You gave me nothing that day. You know, it sucks. Like, I don't want him to be disappointed, but he did handle it like perfectly. It was just, I felt like there was nothing else I could really say where it's like going to be like, yeah, you're right.
I agree. Like I actually was going to text you, but then I knew I was seeing you today. Like that conversation that you guys had, it was hard. And I'm sure it's hard to watch back as a couple, but that gives me hope for your relationship because I have had so many times in my own marriage of over a decade of like my husband having to call me on my own shit. And the fact that old you would have been like, F you, and walked out and like thrown a drink in his face and be like, you don't love me. It's over. You know, like we know that. But like new you was like, I'm going to take this. This sucks right now. It sucks to eat this up. But having someone that loves you enough to tell you the truth is so major.
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, and you guys, well, you're all married now. Jack, congrats. I haven't even talked to you since you've been married. But now that you're all married and you all have been in these like really long relationships, and I truly feel like this is the first time I've been with someone who hasn't put our relationship like on the table, like as a threat to leave over every little thing.
Yeah.
So it's something that is kind of newer for me. That's really sad. No, but it's like newer for me that's not something thrown out there because he needs to give me tough love or tell me the truth about something or like be stern. I think that's the best way to put it. Because you're right. Like normal me would have been like, oh great. Like you hate me and now our relationship's over, and like kind of just like 0 to 100, like reactivity and yeah. So
well, I also like watching the relationship dynamics. Like obviously there's so many messes on that show, but also,
oh my God, that's
you
what
guys are
makes
like
it
the most
so
normal.
yeah. But you know, Jax and Brittany, it's actually, I feel for women. I feel for women so much when I watch dynamics with husbands and partners. And it's like, I don't want women to mistake the way Jax, quote, handles Brittany and puts her in her place is the same way that Luke handles you and your behavior. I don't know. I don't like handles. It's like such a stupid term, like misogynistic, but I don't know any other way to put it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I think
for
women
sure.
watching the show who are trying to have good examples of relationships and partners who are not doormats, but also not domineering and making them small, where everything Luke says to you is really like the subtext of it is, I care about you and I want you to be the best version of you. And I also don't think that you're some overarching psychopath, pathological liar. He's telling you like, I don't believe that this is who you are, but this is why it's looking like this. Whereas like Jax and Brittany, it may from an outsider look like, oh, he's also telling her, you know, to stop drinking so much and be a mom and whatever. But like his subtext there is like, I have no respect for you and I think you're a piece of shit human. So it's really so sad that women can get tricked so easily and think that that's what they deserve to hear when they're behaving not perfectly. So I love that Luke is that guy on this season. Like, it's like, you can have these conversations. You can just respect your partner while you have them.
No, absolutely. And I think what's difficult for Brittany right now, difficult for me as Brittany's friend too, and I'm sure a lot of the viewers is watching the way Jax can be with her because it's deflection. It's mirroring. Like everything he's saying to Brittany is like, I know that's like truly how he feels about himself, but he's not willing to look inward. Yeah. But like Brittany knows those things aren't true, but you know, it's kind of like that old saying, like if you tell a kid like they're stupid or something over and over, they're going to start believing it. And I think there was a period of time where Brittany contemplated whether or not like she should take a beat and like think about that stuff. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
That isn't the truth. And I'm glad, like, I don't know, people ask me, even Kelty, when I was on E! News, like, during that time, even though that was hell on earth day of me being in the middle of the two of them.
They're doing an interview on E! News, and it's Brittany, Kristen, and Jax. That's how they set up. I had 3 people to interview, and 2 of them are a separated couple.
Oh my God.
We know they're separated, and they put her in the middle, and all the questions were like, Jax, did you cheat? You know, like it was, and also, you know, we're all part of the NBC umbrella. And so E! News and Bravo are sisters. And so when you have that access, you're kind of allowed to ask whatever you want. Like, it wasn't like, there was no restrictions on like, hey, make this easy on them. It was like, hey, we want to promote this show, The Valley. It's really good. We want people to know the drama's there. Go for it. And so it was not an easy interview. And she's sitting in the middle.
For you and Courtney, it was not easy. But I think the thing is, Brittany wanted to do that. Brittany was like, I'm sick of like beating around the bush. Mm-hmm. It's time. Like, we can't keep escaping this and ignoring it because I've since seen this massive shift in Brittany's demeanor, like in like just the way she carries herself. She's lighter. She's like a weight lifted off of her chest. Like, she wakes up every day. She puts a little bit of makeup on. She's not, like wearing sweats 24/7 or, you know what I'm saying? Like, she's not that there's anything wrong with that. Trust me, I love it. But she's just like, she has like Stella got her groove back.
Yeah.
And she's finally like looking at herself in the mirror and being like, I'm a great mom. I'm a great friend. I'm a fucking catch. So at that time though, I did have a little bit of hope for them. And as more time passes and I'm not seeing a change in Jax, my hope is like dwindling.
I'm really hoping they're going to work it out.
From your perspective, is it like a donezo type of a thing, or is there any way that he could swindle her back in?
I mean, he better act fast.
Yeah.
She's been staying in her 3rd Airbnb like since January.
Wow.
Right. It's summer. It's time.
If everybody refers to you as a saint in your marriage, like everyone, it's so funny since they've been together. People are like, she's a saint, she's a saint, she's a saint. I'm like, red flag. Like, red flag. It's like,
you shouldn't have to be a saint in the relationship because that means there's a devil on the other side.
What is happening? I'm happy for her. I love her so much.
I know. And then I want a devil's advocate because I know like this is going to be the most unpopular opinion, but like the scene where he's like I did have compassion for Jax because in the scene when she comes to the bar, he's like, I have so much going on. Like, I'm trying to pay our mortgage. I'm opening this thing. I'm launching this brand. I'm really overwhelmed. You could tell that he was really overwhelmed. And she was like, but what about my date night? And I was like, in that moment, I was like, listen, I don't know.
It's more than the date night. It's not about the date night.
It's not about the date night, but I'm just saying there are times that Chris comes to me and needs something personal and I am so in work mode that I'm like, you're making this worse for me. And I don't know how many times I can tell you that. So there's a little Jax in me, but I'm also a monster. So I I
agree. Like it's never like 100% and zero. That's not fair to say, nor is it like never or forever. Like absolutes aren't fair to say. So I do agree with you, Kelty, because I do see I know that's the drive, like the main driving force of his anger issues. Like it's all the stress but it's like, you're a grown man. So do something about it.
You gotta figure it out.
Go talk to someone, get a therapist, maybe go see a psychiatrist. Not saying I'm like a pill pusher, but like it is Jason Couchy, like it might be helpful.
Right.
Or at least just a therapist, like, and be honest with that therapist. That's what I've been asking of him for the almost 17 years I've known him.
Yeah.
Like there's,
but do you think somebody like him could be honest with a therapist, or is he the type of person that would kind of spin things?
Yeah, I don't know.
He's pretty vulnerable. That's what's weird is that he has times on the show where he's like really brutally honest about himself. Like any man that can sit there and be like, you're right. You can't tell me secrets. I love gossip. Like, I mean, it's really like so endearing that I'm like, well, maybe he's just, this is like, he can do it. I believe he can do it.
I think if he's ever going to want to be honest or vulnerable enough because he is with Brittany at times, right? Like, I know this for a fact. Like, she doesn't, not that I would want to know, like, she obviously doesn't divulge like his secrets. That's her husband. But she will tell me like, oh, he came to me yesterday, but not like tell me what it was about. And I'm like, well, good. This is great.
Yeah.
The problem with Jax is that at times I feel that he would go to the therapist, tell the therapist what they want to hear and be so convincing. So he would get an answer back, go back to Brittany and say, oh, you know what? This is what the therapist said. They said, I'm right. Or they said this. So my hope lies in Cruz and knowing how much they both love Cruz is that if he can truly, truly always put Cruz first, then maybe he'll shift the way he's treating Brittany.
I love it.
But right now, I don't think he truly believes she would leave him for good. And I think until he is really like nailed with that, I think right now he's like, she's staying in Airbnb. I still get to see her.
Right.
She still comes up to the bar we own. We still do everything with Cruz together. He's just kind of like, she just doesn't sleep here.
Yeah.
Right.
You know?
Weird.
So I think, unfortunately, I think that's what it's going to take for him to truly change. So I hope he does before it's too late. Anyway.
I love that. Back to the queen. You got torn apart because on the show you said, I'm an empath. And then the entire internet was like, this chick's crazy. But last night on Watch What Happens Live, Ariana and Katie agreed and said, yes, they can see it when Andy asked them, do you think that you are an empath? They were like, yeah.
I didn't even see that. I love them. That's
so both
sweet.
of them were like, we kind of get it, like where she's coming from. She is that. So
I mean, it's like, if anyone knows what it is to, I'm not like, I'm an empath as if I'm like a psychic medium, or I'm like, I'm Allie, the birth chart reader, or like, you know, whatever. I'm an extremely empathetic person. And I say it because I'm not blaming it, but it like at times works to my demise.
Right.
I absorb all these feelings and then I'm not focusing on my own shit because I'm going like, but Brittany's so sad. I can feel it. Like my heart physically will hurt. My stomach feels sick. And that's another wonderful thing about Luke. I attest to Luke is that there'll be times, I mean, there has been times where Brittany's like been crying over at her Airbnb and she's like, I need you to come over right now. And I'm like, I drop everything. Oh, we have podcast to record. Oh, my dog's sick. Oh, whatever. You need time with me. Don't care. Got to go to Brittany's. And this happened a couple weeks ago. And he was like flat out like, do what you want. You're a grown woman, but we really have shit to do. And she will be fine. Call another friend to help her out. You can see her tomorrow. And I just, and I didn't go. And I'm like, okay, but I can feel her pain. So it's like, I wasn't saying it to sound like, I don't know, high and mighty, excuse bad behavior or emotions, but it's just, I don't know, a dumb edit from the producers. I don't know. But I do feel that way. So
I want to know, you know, what has been the biggest difference between doing Vanderpump and then doing the Valley? Like what feels, well, actually that's a question our Lady Gang wanted to know.
Yeah. I mean, I think what I like about the Valley is that we don't, not that they really focus on Sir or anything anymore, but like we don't have, in the Valley, we don't have to focus on any certain place. And the biggest difference too would just be, I think, having a new, I don't want to say cast, but like having friends or people in our lives that have never done it before. Yeah. So, I mean, that's kind of it. It's pretty similar otherwise, I feel.
And I know Stassi has said a million times, like she will not come on the Valley, but now that it's a smoke show hit, is there amount of money that you think, and you're still friends, right? Or no?
I care about her a lot. We lead very different lives. Yeah. And I'm very okay with that. And I think people assumed we would all be or at least I would be so offended by her interviews like that, but it doesn't make sense for her. She's absolutely right. She has 2 kids. She has a husband. She hangs out with different people now. It wouldn't make any sense. And I think she's doing exactly what's right for her. She's extremely successful. I love her very much. We just we don't really hang out. I'm sure if I texted her, you know, and needed something or like needed to talk, like if she had the time, she would make the time.
Yeah.
But we just have different lives and that's okay. Some people just, you know, you grow apart.
Yeah. That makes me sad, but also it's like very normal. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like maybe you'll reconnect once you, hopefully, you know, if you're lucky and blessed enough to have your family of your own, like
down
you know.
the mom path. I think that's part. Not that she's not my friend because I don't have a baby, but I think it's like a natural progression to kind of, you know, hang out with people that are like in similar walks of life.
Yeah.
As you are.
Yeah. Is the guy on the show with the front comb? He's not important enough for me to learn. Zach. Is it an industry?
Oh, I thought you were talking about Jesse. I was like, everyone calls Jesse. I've been seeing on the internet, you know, like the Martha Washington or what you used to do in the pool when you were a little kid.
Oh,
you flip your hair and go like this.
Yes.
And Jesse has that like bouffant like sort of situation. Okay,
No,
but Zach
is Zach an industry plant? Like, I'm convinced. I don't know why you're there, Zach. Like, he's
my best friend. He's my handler.
Yes. Oh, so that they don't show enough of that because
we fought in the beginning.
Okay, because he just pops up, stirs shit up, and then he's gone for like the rest of the episode. And I'm like, is this a producer that's just punking us right now?
Dude, my favorite thing ever is like there was some episode where you guys like blew the up at each other, and then you posted a TikTok the next day of like doing hearts together. We're like, love each other. It's like, dude, that was insane.
Yeah. So Luke does live in Colorado. He has a ranch in Colorado. He lives in California half the time. But when Luke is gone out of town, Zach is essentially required to be with me 24/7. He's just my handler. He makes everything happen. He like handles my crazy, my lazy, my ADHD, my OCD, all my shit. And Zach's like, we're doing this. We have TikTok day. You have podcast day. Let me see your calendar. We're cleaning out your closet. Like, I wish they would have shown more of the friendship dynamic too, but that's hilarious.
Well, season 2, are you getting a season 2? You are, right? You have no idea.
I would hope and assume so. We haven't been picked up yet, but I would hope and assume so.
Oh, yeah.
I read on TMZ yesterday that our pre-production schedule is still on point. So,
I mean,
because of the
did you hear about Vanderpump?
One? Yeah.
Hiatus. So in that same article, it said it will not affect the Valley and that our pre-production schedule is like still on task. So I was like, oh, I didn't even know that.
Honestly, I'm good.
I know. Am I crazy to just want them to put Vanderpump to bed? Like night.
I think it's time.
Night.
Yeah.
I like those people. I root for them. I love to see all the growth, especially like James. I never thought in my whole life I would have respect for James Kennedy.
Me neither. I'm like, is James a solid man?
You'll change your mind again.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, you know, leopard doesn't really change its spots, but like I'm like, listen, if we are still tuning in and James has become a decent person, it's time to go. It's time.
We've gone too far.
We've gone too far. Like, I wish them well. The sandwich shop is opening. I cannot wait to go. But like beyond that, let's end it.
Yeah.
We have the Valley now.
It's tough. Vanderpump is tough. Like Luke and I recap it
on the podcast.
I highly regret starting because now number one, my opinion is so biased that it's like not totally fair. Yeah. And Luke is now slightly jaded from now being on reality TV. He sees things a little bit differently, but also I just feel like I'm saying the same things over and over. I'm like, I love Ariana. Everyone else is making me crazy. Schwartz is adorable. Everyone else is driving me nuts. It's tough.
Yeah.
And in the Lisa, the dynamic, I don't know.
I really want to get into the thing that nobody's talking about. So when I talked to our community yesterday and I was like, what do you want to ask her? They were like, why is no one, this is quote, and I quote, is she as outraged as me that no one in the cast is addressing Jesse running through the hallway, pushing Brittany, pushing Zach to get to Luke? I mean, that was wild. And that, I mean, I know it was kind of towards the end of the season, so maybe you guys will pick it up. I'm hoping there's going to be a reunion, but like, why is no one talking about that? That was some behavior.
Yeah, I don't know. That was really wild because that was just me trying to literally remove myself. As you see, everyone getting like upset with me again because I kept, especially like after the Capri party and then the Mondrian, these family dinners don't work, okay? We're not
the sophisticated Capri party. Please don't forget sophisticated.
So sophisticated.
Douchebag.
And it was just me removing myself from situations. So I didn't want to get heated. I don't want to yell at people. It's not worth my breath. And then the friends, but as cast, they're like, well, now she's leaving the scene. She can't handle like talking through it, but there's no talking. And when he pounded the table again, I'm just like, I'm out. And that day I was like really shocked that he followed me out there because I was just talking to a producer.
Yeah.
And then obviously you see, then Luke follows, then Michelle comes out. And it's like, what, Jesse, you're really going to hit my boyfriend? I doubt it. Oh, but you did push Brittany and Zach just to try to get to him. So I don't know if it's tough for me because watching it back, there's part of me that thinks Jesse is absolutely crazy. And part of me felt like it was Jack season 1 with the chunky knit sweater in the parking lot. Like there's too many producers around that are going to like stop him. So he's like, I'm going to get you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It threw me back to that Vegas parking lot.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
But he's a piece of work for sure.
Do we think Janet is as like manipulative as people are starting to suggest?
On Reddit is crazy.
Really?
Janet, I mean, that could all be Janet on there. She has like a million Reddit handles. She's a self-proclaimed Reddit troll.
Oh, she admits it?
No wonder her husband.
Like sock puppet accounts?
Wow.
Yeah, loves it. She absolutely loves it. Yes, but I do think she is that manipulative. And I think it's easy to tell because then she'll say, I can't believe people think I'm this mastermind manipulative. Like, I'm not that smart. Like, yes, you are. She's actually very intelligent and she's just using it for the wrong things right now.
I will. Yeah.
I think that she watched Vanderpump and she was like, I could be the new Stassi. Watch me try. But nobody can be Stassi. You just have to be Janet. I think she's trying to be like the queen bee, ice people out, but it's like you can't try to be someone else, like a character on a show. But that's how it felt to me while filming.
I feel like she's like one of the most replaceable people on the show. Like she doesn't really give anything to me.
No.
To be honest.
Do you think that I could be on the Valley since we're essentially neighbors? I mean, we live 4 streets away from each other. I could throw down. I use my words incorrectly all the time. I mean, there's a possibility that if Janet can't make it, put me in, okay?
Okay.
I'll be a friend of. I'll be a friend of.
You'll be a friend of, and you're like, but my husband doesn't film.
Yeah. Yeah, I know.
No, they do, but they have to cut him off like at his shoulder.
At the neck, and you just
no
hear,
face.
he has his
or just blur his face and do like a voice change.
I feel like Luke and Chris would be very good friends, by the way. I want to ask you something. Yeah. Like tall, lanky men with a conscience.
Yes.
I want to ask you something. How have you coped with the insane amount of body shaming since you returned to television? It's like you're not allowed to age and you're not allowed to change.
I know. It's
and I know it's probably in your head. So it's like it's like to live in your head and then to have it from outer sources. Like, has that been wild? And how do you deal with it?
That really, I think, is the hardest part. Like, I'm not blind to the fact that like I've gained weight, like for sure. And like, even when I was pregnant for like a very short period of time, like my tits like doubled in size. It made my body feel like I just felt so different. I mean, I loved my body because I knew what it was doing and going through, but I also like hated it after the fact because even though I wasn't very far along, my body started changing already. And also I'm 41 now and I started gaining weight when I was like 39 in places that I'm like, wait, what the happened to my like 30-year-old body? This is wild. And that's really the thing is like, I'm not blind to that because I know how I feel about myself at times, but then to hear it from trolls on social media and people, you know, like the Twitter eggs or whatever, it's really tough. And I don't like to give them life, but I'm just like, didn't your mother teach you, like, if you don't have something nice to say, don't say anything. Tell your friends, go make fun of me in your basement. But like, why do you have to type it? You know what I mean? Like, it's really tough. I think it's really rude and it's really hurtful. And I'm proud that people like me and like Brittany, who do specifically get a lot of it, that we're strong enough to take it and to have each other's backs and like tell each other that we're going to be okay. And that I have Luke to compliment me or just make me feel better. But imagine the people that don't have that kind of support, that hear shit like that on the internet. Like, it's a scary place. And I love Instagram because I think there is such a wonderful community, as you guys know, like LadyGang community. Like, we're so lucky to be able to reach out to people like all over the country, all over the world, right? when I lost my dog recently, when I had the baby loss, I had this wonderful community of people that I had never met a day in my life that it was so beautiful. But then you have just quite the opposite in all the people that, especially women that hate on women. That I'll never be able to wrap my head around that.
It always is.
Well,
it always is.
We just talk shit about Janet, so.
Not in the same way. And
we're talking shit about what we're seeing on
TV.
If people talk shit about my actions on the show, I can't get mad.
Yeah, whatever. Do you have any regrets about being as open as you were about wanting to start your family? Like, were there times that your DMs were just flooded with like, if you just relax, if you just do the thing, or here's this thing I took, like unsolicited advice that just got...
I don't regret that. I regret talking about sex so much as if we're like 16 years old. Like, I cringe every time. But like, we were one of the only couples having sex.
Yeah.
So they really were, they wanted us to talk about it. And at the time, Luke and I had like a sex podcast that we've rebranded into something different because we were like, I can't talk about this anymore. Like, I'm going to blow my brains out.
Yeah.
So that is what I regret doing. Just being like, let's go bang at home. Like, who talks like that? I guess we did. But being vulnerable, no, it is unsolicited advice is kind of annoying. Yeah, because it is like, if you're just not stressed, then you'll get pregnant and everything will be fine. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. You're like, okay.
We all know that that's not.
Shove it up your ass.
Although it does help.
It is cool, though, that the Valley is really capturing women of our age in all the different chapters of their lives, like trying to conceive, being pregnant, postpartum. I think they're doing a beautiful job of telling that story. And then having children and also dealing with the things that Jax and Brittany are dealing with Cruz and like, having my heart breaks every time I watch that speech therapist come in the room. And like, I actually felt so much for Jax when he was getting pissed at Brittany for making noise in the kitchen and he was having a speech therapy. Cause I'm like, the feeling of like hurting for your child and being worried, like those were just moments that I'm like really proud of Bravo for showing how hard it is no matter where you're at in your phase of your life. Like he didn't shy away and they're doing a really beautiful job.
I totally agree. That makes me proud to be on that show, on this show in the Valley. Because that's exactly what you just ended with, Becca. I feel like it's like, it doesn't matter if you have a great job and money or this or that, whatever, like you still have these struggles and they're like emotionally really taxing at times. And I'm so incredibly proud of Brittany and Jax for being willing to be open about that because there are so many unsolicited opinions about Cruz and his learning or his like being nonverbal right now. And it's like, I don't know, as a mom, especially, it's like people trying to compare. And Brittany, obviously, Stassi having Hartford, Sheena having Summer, then there's Ocean, and then Cruz, and they're all about the same age. And so Brittany's always had to deal with the contrasting comparison between Cruz and the girls. So I like that she and Jax were able to like put their guard down and say like, this is what we're doing and we love him and he's smart and perfect, but he has this, this little learning curve. And I'm really proud of Nia because as someone who's never done television before, to be open about her postpartum and so raw about it and like being the confusion that she's been going through, I think could be really difficult. But I think she's realized how just like kind of therapeutic it has been, Yeah.
What's her husband's name? Sorry.
Daniel
Bucco.
Yeah. Danny was like, I think we need to give him a gold star. Like the way he was like, when she was explaining, like, I agree with you 100%. Like when he was explaining how sad she was feeling and she was just confused. And he was like, well, if you need to get help, we got help, but I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. And like, that is all women want to hear, right? Like when we're going through it, it's not like I'm going to fix you tomorrow or I have an answer for you. It's just like, I see you and it's okay that you're not like your bright, sparkly, best Miss USA self right now, but like, I'm not going anywhere. So if this takes a week, if this takes a year, like we're fine. We've got this. And like, I just loved him so much in that moment. I was like, this is that's honestly why I think the Valley is doing so well and people are so into it, is like the drama and like the catfighting and the dinners are so intense that you're like, I can't look away. But then there's so much soul underneath. Whereas like other shows, you know, that have lost their way, you know, a lot of different franchises, they still are focusing on the thing that like, and maybe it's because we're not 25 anymore, but it's like, it's kind of like a grown-up reality show where it's like, that's why Chrissy Teigen's talking about it, because she's like, no, I get this because I have 5 children. Like, I don't know. There's just something awesome about that. Okay. I want to ask you some more LadyGang questions. What is your take on the Katie, Ariana, Lala, Sheena separation vibe? Do you still talk to Lala?
I do not talk to Lala. I do talk to Sheena, not very often. Like she lives in the Valley now, but Katie lives down the hall from me, and I do talk to Ariana pretty often. So I wasn't there with them this summer. I'm watching it like everyone else. I don't ask them much about it because I don't really care, and it's on the show, so it's tough. But I know in real life it is kind of what it appears to be. I hate being like 5 years old and being like, I'm team, but like team Katie and Ariana. I think it's just really unfair that no one's given Ariana like 5 minutes to breathe.
Yeah.
Like since the scandal all broke, they started filming, you know, a few months later. And it was like, why aren't you over it yet? Like, do I think everyone should be like torturing Sandoval forever? No, it's like, we all have to move on with our lives, but also like stop making Ariana uncomfortable. Just let her do what she wants to do. That's that. Yeah. So I really, I love that Katie's just fully, not blindly, but like just fully supporting her no matter what.
Yeah.
So does that mean the Chili's cappuccino drink is like, because
espresso martini?
The espresso martini is Katie and Sheena. Oh no, this is dramatic.
That was a weird combo.
I actually think that their acting in that was A+.
Amazing.
Yeah. I did too. I literally remember thinking that last night. I was like, really good.
Wonderful.
I think it's because, I think they were paired because Sheena's the one who came up with Tequila Katie.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So it was like, it's essentially a play on like their love-hate for each other.
Oh, I love it. Okay, what are you going to do? I mean, now that this is a reemergence, so you're back to being like leader of the Bravo clan. But when you have to move to Colorado and live on a farm with Luke and your children, like if you weren't a reality star, what would you be doing?
So ideally, what we would love to do eventually, because I have this like need to be like an entertainer, I'm like, how fun would it be eventually to do like an HGTV type thing?
Oh, hell yeah.
In Colorado. Mm-hmm. But I just can't live in the middle of nowhere. So truthfully,
where in Colorado does he live?
He lives like 3 hours south of Denver. Oh. Like literally middle of nowhere. He has 70 acres.
But is he going to give that up? Is he going to be happy to live?
No.
So you're going to
He doesn't have to give it up, but we talk about Austin. We talk about Nashville.
Right. You're going to meet in the middle like Becca did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
he doesn't want LA and I don't want like absolutely nothing. So it's like, where can I like still Postmates once in a while, but not have street noise all the time?
I'm proud of you actually, because I thought of myself in the beginning of long distance relationships when I've been so smitten with the person. I have entertained crazy things for myself, like moving to really places that I know I'm not going to thrive in, but I'm just so madly in love that I'm like, yeah, sure, I'm going to move to Seattle. I can teach yoga. I love the rain. And like, I'm really happy that you really like set your boundary. You knew yourself well enough early on to be like, I love you, but I can't do Colorado. And like, I really appreciate that. And I want every girl out there to remember, Kristen, when you meet the man of your dreams and he wants you to move somewhere that doesn't suit you.
Yeah, like if he wants you to move to like the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, probably, I feel like it's not going to like feed my creative juices.
Yeah, it sounds personal.
I was just trying to think of like the worst place to live in the United States.
Whoa!
Or Florida.
I have a
Just
list,
kidding.
but I can't offend.
Yeah.
No. But yeah, I think we'll just find, like, he'll always have that. And we do have a plot of land we bought in Indiana. I don't think we're going to keep it. I think we're just going to flip it or sell it. But like, maybe we will. I don't know.
Yeah. Indiana.
I think our plan is to have, to work really hard to be able to afford small places in a bunch of different locations. And we want to be closer. Obviously, we're working really hard to try to have a baby. We want to have a family. eventually get married and we want to be closer to our families. But I'm like, I'm not moving back to the Midwest, dude. Like, not happening. So we'll find somewhere like
They
in
have
the middle, and we'll
Postmates in the
always
Midwest. I mean,
They do. They certainly do. Yeah.
Just a devil's question, not devil's advocate question.
Advocate?
No, just a
The devil has a question.
Here's my question. And
Janet?
listen, Janet has a question. No, why not just get married? Like, is it just like, you just don't care that much about, like, people don't care. And the whole thing of like, you have to be married and then have kids, but people are like, well, if you guys are going to be together and you're going to have this baby, like, should we just get married next week? Like, but you're just not into it.
No, because I don't want to like just get married. Like we talk about it all the time. Like it's not like Katie and Tom back in the day, like, you don't propose in the next year. You know what I mean? I don't need that to feel secure, but like I do want that at some point. And I'm glad that it hasn't happened. It didn't happen for me earlier in hindsight, because I used to think of marriage as like my Pinterest board with my dress and my big giant wedding and all of that. And now I have like a totally different view on what I would want. Yeah. And I think for us, the only kind of rush, if you will, is just a baby because of
timing.
Age.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's more important.
So
no, I like that. It's
like
such a mature way to look at relationships. Like, the shit that actually matters comes first.
Yeah. But like, I don't want to not be married either. Like, I do want that. I just feel like we're kind of in this like crazy limbo, like traveling, where are we living, trying to get pregnant. Like, okay, let's take it like one thing at a time right now.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, last thing. Nick Viall on his podcast went after all the Vanderpump stars. I'm sure you saw this, about like, why does no one have big houses? And like, you've been on TV for 10 years, like, where are the finances? Do you have a rebuttal?
I don't have a rebuttal for everyone else. I have a rebuttal for myself. The pandemic, and I was canceled. So I didn't work for 3 years. That was really tough. And I'm also now with dating I've dated people that I've, had to pay for often, or that I chose to, like a moron. And now I'm with someone who's literally an accounting major and who's like very business savvy and very logical. And it's not someone I've ever been with before. And it's not the way my brain works. Not that I'm not an adult and responsible, but I'm like, don't say finances. Like, it's not a sexy topic to me, but he's really great. So I think that's what the goal is for us now. He's very like hell-bent, like, no, we don't need to do that. We don't need to spend it on this. We have to save for this. Like, if we want to get out of this apartment and buy a house kind of a thing. But I really can't speak for the rest of, especially the Vanderpump cast. I mean, Tom Sandoval, he spends millions on, he pays his band members to practice. So that's where his money goes.
Wow.
I think the pandemic was hard on, literally everyone. Yeah. But I don't understand why certain people on Vanderpump were like talking about how they had no money in their bank account. Like, that blows my mind.
Well, I have a theory. I think it's when you first...
I never happened to me.
Right. I have a theory that like everyone got famous on Vanderpump, and then you did the Hollywood thing where everyone like hired a big publicist that was $5,000 a month, and then, played with, you had to keep up with the Joneses. So you had the clothes and the bags and the shoes and everything. And then it's like, you're actually just on a season of TV that's 12 episodes. Like, when it's a cast, we know that like there's a top to that, and then I think everyone just got caught up, but
yeah,
I agree with that. Yeah.
California too.
I think
it's
for
like
everyone else.
so expensive in California, and like for people trying to buy a house, like Jack's dealing with it right now. People might be like, why doesn't Jack own a home? We have an empire.
Well, even with James's house, and I'm like, they're like, over the flight path, like, so shitty. It's like the house is probably still like $1.4 million.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
It just doesn't get you much here.
No,
it really doesn't. Not at all. I totally agree with that. Yeah. But I do think, now that I'm like kind of letting it sit in my mind, but I do think there's something to be said of, my Vanderpump cast members, or my old cast members, like the flashy things, the bags, the shoes, the cars. Okay. Like, if I don't drive the fanciest BMW or like the coolest Porsche, like people are going to look down upon me. And then I think of people like Ryan Gosling, and Eva Mendes, and they're like, oh yeah, we have like a Honda and a Prius or whatever it is they have. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
So I think that there is something to be said of like, especially reality people, like Spidey, like Heidi and Spencer have talked about it so much. They were like, all of our money was gone. We were spending like, thousands of dollars at bottle service for no reason.
Right.
And crystals.
That's so true.
Well, we love you. Everyone, please watch the new Amazon freebie series, The GOAT, because our GOAT is on it this Thursday, the 9th. It premieres, and it's going to hold you over until another season, The Valley. And we are just wishing you, thanks for coming on, and just thank you for keeping us alive in our sad lives. Like, you really, The Valley was a real high point for me this year.
Thank you.
But also,
and I want everyone to watch The GOAT because it will air like simultaneously with The Valley. So you're going to see that I'm not just like crying, emotional, yelling, getting yelled at. You're going to see like all this fun stuff that I do, like whole new side of me.
Ooh,
she's so fun.
She's a fun girl.
I love it. And
I'm a good
also,
time.
and also, please, everyone, check out Balancing Act, the podcast, the rebrand with Lukey. He's so adorable. I think this is really fantastic for you. And we just adore you. And best of luck on all of your journeys, including your baby making journey. That is a hard thing to go through. And we're just sending you good vibes. And like, if you eat a tomato tomorrow, it'll probably help. So, and we will
see you next
Tuesday.